Ordinance amendment pertaining to the flea market. Ms. Presley.
Council is requested to adopt on its second and final reading to amend Town Code Sections 98-46, 175-3, 175-10.10, 175-44, 175-53, 175-63, 175-70, and 175-10 that would allow flea markets to operate on Fridays with a special use permit, subject to standards and review and potentially to have a farmer's market. An amendment to Section 98-46B to change the license tax for flea markets from a per vendor tax of $10 per year or $1 per day to a flat license tax of $500 per calendar year to be paid by the proprietor of the flea market as presented.
May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Mayor, I move the council adopt on its second and final reading to amend Town Code Section 98-46, 175-3, 175-10.10, 175-44, 175-53.7A3, 175-63C3, 175-70I3, and 175-10.4A to allow flea markets to operate on Fridays with a special use permit, subject to standards and review and potentially to have a farmer's market. I further move that council amend Town Code Section 98-46B to change the license tax for flea markets from a per vendor tax of $10 per year to $1 or $1 per day to a flat license tax of $500 per calendar year to be paid by the proprietor of the flea market as presented.
We have a motion. Need a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Discussion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we amend the motion on the floor to the flat license tax of $500 to be $250.
We have a motion on the floor to reduce the 500 to 250. Can I get a second? Second. Okay, we have a second. Discussion.
Mr. Mayor, this has been, I think, the final point of contention on council about this ordinance is something that we went back and forth about in our work sessions. I'm of the belief that council should be well served to go slow with a radical change like this to the structuring. I spoke to many of the vendors that are down there. I am convinced that if we go with 500, that we're probably going to be forcing the flea market to raise their table fees down there. And I don't want to see that happen. So I think that if we go with 250 and then reevaluate, that's probably the best for everyone. I know that there has been disagreement on this on council, but I did want to make the amendment and hopefully we can go with the 250 instead of the 500.
Anyone else? Ms. Presley, roll call on the amendment to adjust from 500 to 250 per year.
Councilman Conley?
Yes.
Councilman Gillespie?
Yes.
Councilman Meza?
No.
Councilman Morrison?
No.
Councilman Seelock?
No.
Vice Mayor T-Wall?
No.
Okay, move back to the original motion. Mr. Presley, can I have a roll call, please, on the original motion?
Councilman Conley?
Yes.
Councilman Gillespie?
Yes.
Councilman Meza?
Yes.
Councilman Morrison?
Yes.
Councilman Seelock?
Yes.
Vice Mayor T-Wall?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, John. All right, moving on to council approval. Previously approved resolution of support and participation in the new market tax credit program. Have a motion, please.
Mr. Mayor, I move that council approve the revision of the previously approved resolutions of support and participation in the new market tax credit program to reflect $11 million as presented.
Second.
We have a motion, second, discussion.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Since we started this process on the tax credits with People's Inc., this has gradually been going up every year. Every time we get a report back from our architects on the police department, it just keeps going up $1 million at a clip. I know it's gone up $4 million since I've sat here on this council, since they started the process, and I just cannot, I cannot vote tonight in good conscience to raise the price of this building to add another, well, really, in this case, $3 million to our tax credit limit with People's Inc. If this doesn't come to fruition in the 7 years that we anticipate, then we're going to be held responsible for the whole 100% of the loan. And I'm a little bit leery because we had those tax credits in 2008 when I was the mayor, and they went away in about 3 years. And I cannot force myself to raise this another $3 million of credit and hopefully rely on our federal government to have the money when we need the money at that time. So I'm going to have to vote no on this here this evening.
Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I think that just to kind of recap a little bit on this program, it's basically a creative financing way for us to get the monies we need for our capital projects, namely in this case the police station that we were moving forward with or trying to move forward with. It does not give us free money. It is not something that allows us to pay in whole for the police department. And as Councilman T-Walt suggests, it is something that could disappear. However, while it is in place, we want to take advantage of this because it does lower our debt service for our capital program. And we want to plan accordingly in case it isn't in place when our debt service comes due approximately 7 years from now. So I think it is a good idea to continue to take advantage of the program, but prepare in the event that the tax credit isn't as available in the way we hoped it would be 7 years out from now. So because of that, I'm going to vote yes.
Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'm very concerned about our present police department. And we kicked this can down the road too many years now. Mr. Councilman T-Walt and I have discussed this tax credit for many days. We have some concerns. It's our responsibility as councilmen to work through the issues and figure out how we're going to build a new police department. So I will find myself voting for this tax credit.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, I think a lot of this goes back to the initial decision that council made early in this process to design the police station to the 40-year need for the town of Front Royal. We need to remember that when we're building a new building, the cost expands if we have to keep going back and adding on. I think that it was the right call to build for the 40-year need for this community because this building is going to be around for a very long time, God willing, and we want to make good, efficient use of it over the course of those 40 years. Paying for it is going to be difficult, and we're going to have to take a long, hard look when we start passing budgets moving forward. But I think that all things considered, for the size of building that we are building, this is a fair price, and it's going to be up to us to figure out how to pay for it. I'm not afraid of that. I will be voting in support of this evening.
Anyone else? Mr. President, roll call, please.
Councilman Conley?
Yes.
Councilman Gillespie?
Yes.
Councilman Meza?
Yes.
Councilman Morrison?
Yes.
Councilman Seelock?
Yes.
Vice Mayor T-Walt?
No.
All right, motion passes. Now, let's go to council approval. Award the bid for the police department construction. Mr. President.
Councilman is requested to approve the bid from Dustin Construction in the amount of $7,736,001 for construction of the new police department headquarters.
Mr. Mayor, I move that council approve the bid from Dustin Construction in the amount of $7,736,001.00 for construction of the new police department headquarters.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Discussion.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Again, I cannot support this tonight. Again, like I said, when we started, we were looking at $5.5 to $6 million. It's gone up to, altogether with the finished product, we're looking at $10 million with change orders that probably will come in at $1 million, $1.5 million. So we're looking at probably $11.5 million. Taxpayers for all just can't afford this. That's 11.5 cents of taxpayer money up and above 13 cents we already paying. And I don't think it's fair that we spend that much money on the police department, and I think we can design it cheaper and just as good, but we don't have to have all the frills and all these things that this police department has. I think we can get better. I think we can get it redone again, and I hate to do that, but that would be my suggestion, that we go out and rebid it and come down with some of the things and take some of the things out of the building so we can get to a point where the taxpayers of Fort Royal can afford this big project. And I just don't think I'm going to put that burden on the taxpayers of Fort Royal in voting for this here this evening.
Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'm excited that it's finally come to the approval of the bid. We had multiple construction bids come in, all within the pretty close ballpark, pretty close dollar amount of each other, which tells me that it was a competitive bid and that we were getting a fair price for the project. And having served on the committee for the police department over the last year and working with the different officers that were involved in the project, the due diligence that was put into it, working with the architectural firm, I'm pretty comfortable with the design that we've come up with and think that it's going to serve the needs for our officers that are well overdue. As far as the total dollars or the total cost of the project, as we talked about this in the new market tax credit, cost of new facilities isn't cheap. And no matter how we design this, we're not going to be designing a building that is free. And somehow we're going to have to pay for that. And I hope that our current council members can work with our town staff to develop a plan, continuing developing a plan that allows us to absorb these costs over the next few years as we're developing or building the police department. A lot of hard decisions have to be made in order to accommodate it, but I think that it's clear that we can no longer continue in the current center that we're in. Again, I just want to reiterate that I feel very good about the design process, the construction bids, and finally being able to sign off and move forward with breaking ground.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, I don't think it's possible to understate the necessity of the project. We're in a town of 15,000 people. I know that when there is a problem in this community, all of the citizens want to have the ability to pick up the phone and dial 911 and know that there will be a response immediately. And a lot of that goes toward the men and women that we have working for us. It's certainly something that we're evaluating with our compensation study that we're looking at. We want to make sure that we're doing right by the men and women who work, not just for the town, but also for the police force specifically, because we know that it's difficult to retain talent on the force. But part of it is that our facility is just not adequate. It isn't. There are a lot of issues. Anybody who has toured the facility will know that it's not adequate, and there isn't really another option available to us except to build. If we build for the 20-year use, we're going to have to go back and expand it again. And that's going to be more expensive than building it for the 40-year use the first time around. Like Councilman Meza said, I'm comfortable with what I have seen with the design. I do know that it's going to be a burden to the taxpayers, but at the same time, the benefit is to the taxpayers too.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, could I respond?
Sure.
Let me say this, I'm not against the police department. Matter of fact, I know we need a new police department. I know we need a good facility, and I'm 100% for that. But I just think that we can do a better job and cut the costs down on this building by cutting out some of the components that's been put in this building. I've been in construction all my life, and I know that we can do better than this. I know we want a nice looking building, but I think that we can use different material in some areas. I think we can do a lot of other changes in this building in order to cut the cost down substantially. But I hear tonight that nobody wants to talk about that, so I guess that we'll just vote and go ahead and let the burden fall on the taxpayers. And that's the problem that I have. It's not that we don't need a building. We do need a building, but the taxpayers for all better realize it's not going to be cheap, when the taxes were gonna be raised anywhere between 8 and 12 cents, or maybe 13 to get the whole ball of wax when the whole cost comes in for the building.
Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, I'm
Yes,
time here.
All right, Councilman.
Speaking of the due diligence, we did ask the construction company, representatives of the construction company, to go back, vet out the project, and make recommendations for any potential cost savings related to materials, fencing, anything in the project that we could cut, postpone, or do with adding a little bit later in the project, so the council was fully aware of the options that we had on the table. In addition to that, we had spent a lot of time looking at what we had already voted on of going from 2020 to 2040 building, and seeing if there's any way that we can phase in the building to make it cheaper to the tax base in today's time versus having to go straight for the 2040 building. And it just wasn't advantageous. It would have cost the taxpayers more money in the long run than to move forward with the full project right now. So I just wanted to reemphasize the due diligence that went into this and the cost-saving measures that have already been evaluated and were brought back to council and make a decision on what part of the project we were going to postpone, if any, or what we were going to do without, if any, before we move forward with the final construction dollars.
Anyone else? Okay. Can I get a motion? Well, I'm sorry, we have a motion. I'm excited, I'm sorry. I don't get to vote in this, but absolutely, my vote would be yes. Ms. Tina, can we have a roll call, please?
Councilman Conley?
Yes.
Councilman Gillespie?
Yes.
Councilman Meza?
Yes.
Councilman Morrison?
Yes.
Councilman Seelock?
Yes.
Vice Mayor T-Wall?
No.
All right. Joe, could you reach out tomorrow and tell them bring picks and shovels? Moving on to number 12, bid for road salt.
Mr. Mayor, I move the council approve a bid for the purchase of de-icing road salt during the upcoming winter season through April 30th, 2018, to Cargill Incorporated at a cost of $72.41 per ton.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second by Councilman Morrison. Any discussion? Ms. Preston, roll call, please.
Councilman Conley?
Yes.
Councilman Gillespie?
Yes.
Councilman Meza?
Yes.
Councilman Morrison?
Yes.
Councilman Seelock?
Yes.
Vice Mayor T-Wall?
Yes.
Okay, closed meeting. Can I have a motion, please?
Mr. Mayor, I move the council convene and go into closed meeting for the following purpose: the disposition of publicly held real property, specifically the sale or vacation of town right-of-way, approximately 100 feet by 5 feet in size, located near 208 West Duck Street to Jerry Bell Jr., pursuant to section 2.2-3711A3 of the Code of Virginia, where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body.
Second.
You have a motion, second? Any discussion? Ms. Preston?
Councilman Conley?
Yes.
Councilman Gillespie?
Yes.
Councilman Meza?
Yes.
Councilman Morrison?
Yes.
Councilman Seelock?
Yes.
Vice Mayor T-Wall?
Yes.